my name's Jesse Lawrence and this is episode 2 of Shoegazers podcast. I play in a band called Gasper Sands and because of COVID-19, we're obviously not performing. But one of the things I miss about playing live and being in the studio is geeking out with other guitarists and musicians about guitars, guitar pedals and gear. So that's where the idea for this podcast came from. My guest today is the lead guitarist of Sydney five-piece Georgia June, who formed in 2017 and quickly started booking festival slots all up the east coast of Australia. His name is Jack Johnston. I first met Jack when both our bands were recording at Parliament Studios in Sydney, working with one of their great engineers, Fan, who we mention a couple times in the chat. Jack and I have already spent plenty of time geeking out over gear together, so he was an ideal choice to be guest on the podcast. Just before we chat, we're going to talk a lot about his pedal board, so if you want a photo as a visual, head to our socials at Shoegazers Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, or Shoegazers Pod on Twitter. Here's my chat with Jack. So what's been going on? How are you guys staying creative in isolation?
Yeah, I don't know, man. We've kind of like, it's been like a little bit quiet. We usually used to roll into Fans' room on Mondays, but now because there's no gigs, we actually can't afford it.
Yeah.
And kind of like one half of the band is kind of a bit sketchy about going out of the house. So it's kind of like real slow at the moment. Hey.
Yeah.
So we're actually teaching Georgia how to use Ableton, or actually Georgia's teaching herself and kind of like we'll share her screen on Zoom or whatever. So like she's learning things and then, I don't know. I've also like didn't feel like inspired to like do anything until yesterday. Like I did a few musical things yesterday, but yeah, it's definitely been like a bit of a kick in the balls, like especially like having a bit of momentum and being super hyped about like doing a tour and all that kind of stuff. And then it's just like, oh, that sucks.
You guys did ISOL Aid. How was that?
That was weird. We did two actually. Like we did George and I did one with just the two of us for like Beat Magazine, which was like kind of shit because having like so many people in the band, it's like we all kind of have different roles and I'm like, wait, how do I play our own songs again? Like because usually I'll have like Lewis there or Joe there to do their part. But Isolade was actually really fun. We just, the four of us like got in there and kind of like just took a Juno like there with the speaker and then just like two acoustic guitars and vocals, which was pretty good. It was crazy though. Like everyone that I've spoken to that's done it kind of like walked away with like 200 more followers after the 20 minutes.
Oh, sick.
It's crazy. Also a lot of like merch sales recently. So that's like a kind of a silver lining.
That's cool. I mean, that was one of the big take homes from like our chat with our label the other day was we just got to focus on online stuff. Even though like social media has always been like a big thing for bands, like right now it's like the only thing.
Yeah, and I kind of hate it. Like I think super lucky that like George is quite good at that and like keen to get online and do the Instagram thing, but I like hate it. I've kind of like gone into my own little bubble and just like, you know, done like a little bit of music and then kind of done a little bit of work. I'm still at uni as well, so I've kind of been doing a bit of that. But yeah, she kind of like takes charge with that and is the voice behind the social medias.
Oh, it's good that you got someone in the band that takes up the reins.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first guitar and first pedal?
This was, okay, so my first guitar was actually like a small like Valencia classical guitar. And then I got like a Blue Ridge acoustic guitar, which when I was maybe in like year 7. And then I got this in year 10 and it's pretty much the only like working electric guitar I have. And it's absolutely trashed. Like I was in like headphones before this, like just like being like, fuck, what do I play in our songs again? Like, what do they sound like? And the intonation is so far out and like this like hole in like the nut has like sunken way down, so there's like buzz and like I just need to give it like a full overhaul and like it needs a whole like refret and stuff like that. Like it's trashed.
Yeah. Is that a US Strat?
Yeah. It was I think it's like 2014 I got it or 2013. And it was like the 60th anniversary one. And I hate the color. Like, I hate it.
The red. You don't like the metallic red?
I don't like it. But obviously being like 15 or whatever, we walked into the shop and I'm like, I was so determined to like walk away with the guitar. I'm like, I just need one. And like, they were like, oh, this is like a HSS strap. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Fuck that. It's fine. So like, just by not knowing anything, that's why it has humbuckers in the bridge here.
What about your first pedal?
First pedal would have been a loop pedal, I think.
Oh, yeah. Like the old.
It was like an
Boss one?
RC3, I think. Or maybe an RC30. I can't remember which one's like just the normal Boss size one. So that was my first pedal. And then after that, I ended up, so like through high school, like all my friends had like more stuff than me. And I had this friend that like, I got this, then he went out and bought like a white one. He got like a Blues Junior. He got like a pedal board, and then he got like a TS9, like a DD5 or something. And he was terrible at guitar. After school, even I remember I used his pedal board for like the first 3 gigs because he had like way more stuff than I did.
Yeah.
And then like slowly, I did get a tube screamer, which I don't use anymore. And then I had a DD7, which then got replaced by a DD20. Now it's like a Timeline,
which is like the spaceship of delays.
Yeah. I mean, it's so like overspec'd for what I use it for. I mean, there's one long delay, there's a short delay, there's something like a little bit weird, and then there's like a backwards one that I use, and that's like it. And it's like, I feel like doing this has made me realize that like maybe I should be in headphones more often when I'm like making patches for songs, because it like makes you heaps more aware of like what it actually sounds like. I was actually kind of scared coming on because I'm like, fuck, this actually sounds terrible. What was I doing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it, like gear hoarder or gear nerd. Yeah. Or maybe I'm just comparing to people that I know that are like really, really bad with that stuff.
Just appropriate gear user.
Yeah, I think appropriate gear user.
And what amp do you use live?
So there's like a Fender Blues Deluxe sitting under here where I am right now.
Is that the Tweed version?
That's the Tweed one. Again, it's like trashed. Like one of the inputs is like taped up because if you turn it up on that input, it just goes, and then the other input, you can only really use it at like practice level or it does the same thing. So I've been that guy a lot recently where it's like, oh, hey man, great set. Can I borrow your amp? Is that cool? And you know, like...
Yeah, I've got the same Tweed Blues Deluxe and it was doing that same thing. I had to get it like... I spent like $400 to get it serviced because it was doing that thing. I'd turn it on, play for a bit, then it'd just go...
Yeah. And it was really funny. We were doing a gig at the Vanguard with Miss June, like probably like a year ago. And I kind of like got through this. First of all, like our set's not as like high gain as theirs. Like their guitarist is just like wild. And so I like kind of got through the set. I like went into the second input because it like took a bit longer for some reason to start fucking out. And then they got on stage and I just completely forgot about it. I didn't tell them anything. And they came upstairs afterwards and they're like, oh, that was the shittest gig ever. Like we had to plug into each other's amps. Like, that amp was just fucking out, and I'm just like, yeah.
Oh no! What?
Yeah, you know, like. So I did feel bad about that, but if I would actually like to get a new amp, I think the quintessential for me would probably just be like play an AC30 live, you know?
Oh yeah, I just find the Blues Deluxe. It goes from 0, then you get it to like 1.5.
Yeah,
it's like an on or off switch.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had like some good gigs with that. I mean, but it's the thing is, like, if you get an AC30, though, it's like you never want to carry that around, you know? You kind of...
so big.
I'm just waiting until, I mean, someone else will provide the backline, you know? And, I mean, what else is cool? Like, I can work with, like a JC 120 live as well. Mm-hmm. I think for me, it's like, if you can get, like, the clean thing out of it, that's cool for me. And then... all the other things comes from the overdrive because whatever amp I run, I usually run it like clean and then get every piece of drive from my overdrives.
Yeah, for sure. Sweet. You want to take us through the signal chain of the board?
Yeah, 100%. So pretty much because I've got this like loop system set up, you can actually change the order of the loops per patch.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really do that because it's like I usually just run it in the order that I would set up a pedal board normally. But I have that like Cali 76 like first in the chain.
That's the compressor.
That's the compressor. And that, so this thing has 7 loops and that's my 8th pedal. So it made sense to leave that out of the chain and always on because I probably use it like less for compression and more for like a gain stage. So
sure.
If I'm playing like a Fender amp that like, even if I have my drive turned up to 100%, it doesn't like do a thing, that I'll usually like push the output and overload like the front end of the overdrive a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I have like my volume pedal, but like I literally only use that for volume. So I can like, I'm pretty like anal about tuning most of the time. So I literally have the volume pedal so I can tune on the go if I just like whip my heel back instead of like pressing it and then, you know, doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if this makes a difference, but I put the compressor before the volume pedal just so like, I know that just in case there was any, I don't know, function of like, no matter how, if you pump like the volume back, it's still like compressing before you go into that. And then the loops are set up like number 1 is like the pitchfork, like which I actually use a lot. Like usually like octave up and octave down, or I'll do like a 5th. That's the only thing that it's ever on. And when there's a 5th,
for sure,
it's like I play chords with that on, which sounds kind of cool.
How does it track with chords?
It's actually pretty good. Like probably like better than you'd expect. You get like these really weird like.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know,
super lush.
Yeah, tune. And then it goes into my OCD. Actually, no. Then it goes into my like less intense drive, the amp 11, and then that goes into my OCD, which then goes into like a clean boost, and then that goes into a chorus, and then that goes into timeline, and then the big sky, and then out.
Have you delved into the programming of your pedal board controller, like a MIDI and that sort of thing?
I have. So pretty much the way that it's set up at the moment will be that top right where it says trem there. That's pretty much, which isn't a trem anymore, by the way. That top right sticker is now a second overdrive, and I haven't changed it.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, that's the buttons when it's in loop mode. So the photo I sent you, it'll be like all red, and then as you press them, they'll be green, and that just works like a normal pedal board. So if there's a set that I'm playing that it's like, I haven't like programmed all the songs, or like I'm filling in for someone, or like the sounds are pretty simple, I'll just go like that, and use that mode. But for the sets that like I really know and I've like dialed in, so if like George's set, I put it into like this set list mode, and then each button on the bottom row will be a part of the song. So say like the first song on here, say like Prove Myself, for example, verse 1, I'll just go like, and then like hold the big sky like that, and then I'll just go, and then that clicks into the chorus, which go,
And what does the pedal board controller click on and off between the verse and the chorus?
So that first like verse 1 ambient thing will just be like a long delay and like a medium verb, I guess, that I'll just hold, and chorus. And then the only difference going into the verse is like the verbs tighten up and it's more of a slap delay, like, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Sweet. Well, now that we've moved on to tones, how about we do a bit of a tone breakdown?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your new single, Baby Blue. Can you take us through that expansive lead tone?
Of course. So, with most of these songs, I think live is like a bit of an appropriation of like kind of what we ended up putting on the recording. Just because, like, you know what it's like when you're like in a studio or whatever, and you're just like, oh, this like overdrives out, like, I guess we'll do it with this. And I think that lead tone like might have been as simple as something like a full tone, like whatever they're called, the blue one. And actually that was like the thing like I was probably like least happy with in the song overall. Like I never like really loved that like lead guitar tone, but it kind of just got to a point where it's like, oh yeah, like it's good enough, like it's fine. So pretty much like the initial idea for that solo was kind of in there from the beginning of the song. Like it went through a bunch of like different iterations where it started as like quite like a rocky straight ahead song, and it ended up kind of like this like kind of like synthy, almost 80s kind of thing. But the solo was kind of always the same. Like the start and the end were a little bit different, but like the playing the melody on guitar and stuff, that was all like there from right at the beginning. And it's honestly like pretty much the lead tone that I go with like most of the time. There's like a delay, clean boost, OCD, and that's about it. So it's just like this stupid like minor seconds thing. It's like
Yeah, nice, dude. Now, the second tone breakdown from your 2019 release, Try Again.
Try again, baby. Try to make it work.
Can you take us through that awesome, lush chorus tone?
Yeah, so there's probably like three things going on in those choruses. Lewis is actually the one live that plays like the main kind of riff. And that used to be probably like a lot dirtier than it is now. Like it used to be a lot more like, he used to use like a blues driver, like exclusively. So initially it was like this real dirty, like, yeah, like something like that. And then, I think it was like Fan actually. He was like, maybe we should try like a clean one. So it was like this guitar DI'd. I think like, I don't know, I probably had like a delay and a reverb on, maybe even a chorus. And then that just turned into... I think I'm playing that right. It's usually like Lewis that plays that.
He'll be listening, just going, "You're butchering it, man."
Yeah. Stop ruining my fucking part. Just let me play lead guitar once, you know. But yeah, I think it's something along the lines of that. It's probably just like some reverb and a bit of chorus or like widener or something. And then kind of over the top of that, there is like chords going. So I think there's like just open chords like that.
Yeah.
And then the most annoying tone to get live is the little like so this is where I turn the pitchfork to like a fifth, and I use like my less hectic overdrive, and you get this like it's like really whack sound. I think we had like two choruses on. I think we had like one of the Mooga Fuga like modulation guys, and then my chorus, and one of those like the knockout kind of like transient things, and then we kind of like pulled this like crazy weird fucking, you know,
that fifth up and down on the pitchfork is just such a wild sound.
Yeah, it's actually like
almost organy.
Yeah, like that is wild.
I'm so surprised at how well that tracks chords.
It's insane. I I used to actually make it sound like a organ at one point back in the day.
Yeah, cool.
Like the pitchfork I just use all the time. Like I was thinking about getting
dude.
two at one point, one that's on like a fifth all the time and one that's like on an octave or something like that.
Yeah. Sick, dude. Well, final tone breakdown. That super high gain solo tone, Improve Myself.
Yeah.
How do you do that live?
So that's like the classic OCD, delay, boost, and octave up. Moments like that is like kind of ones that I'd want to get, you know, something a bit more hectic of a drive. There's this other song called like Don't Leave Me Hanging Out to Dry that's like a similar thing, like pitchfork and, you know, heaps of drive. And it's just like, I would love a fuzz to like just do that instead of having a drive and then boosting the drive. But like, yeah, anything I want to get high gain is just like OCD pumped the drive to 100% and then like a clean boost.
Yeah, for sure. So what pedal is never coming off your board?
That's a good question. Tuner. No, I don't know. I honestly see myself like kind of replacing these at one point or another. Like I'm sure there'll come a time where I don't want a big sky. I don't want a timeline. I mean, I love the OCD. It's fucking great. I would like an iteration of the OCD that doesn't have as much low end because like my tone on that is at 100% and it still adds so much low end to everything. So I think I'd like to look into. I love the OCD, but would still like to look into something that has less low end. I love the pitchfork. Everything else I think I could like kind of replace. But yeah, you're making me want to like dig into these settings a bit more and make them better. It's just such an effort, like going into menus and then, you know.
So what's your next pedal purchase?
I do think I want to jump into like a Mobius or I want to go play a tone bender as well. Now you mentioned that. I also would love a new guitar. Hey, there's this guy in like northwest Sydney that builds guitars, like Tolvanen guitars, and a few of my friends have them, and every time I play it, they're just amazing. So I hit him up, and he didn't reply. So if he's listening, can he please make me a guitar?
Do you have a go-to plug-in or signal chain for guitars in the box?
Yeah, pedal board with like that cab simulator on.
Which cab sim?
Like literally on the big sky, like going straight in. Like I have like a Apollo Twin, like with the Marshall like plexi and stuff on it. And I know Jono's gonna say on Saturday that he loves using that thing, but I cannot figure it out. Hey, like I have no idea how to use that. So yeah, I think for me, like I'll usually just like go straight in, kind of get as close as I can to what I want, and then kind of change it in Ableton or whatever, whether that's like an EQ thing or adding more drive or I think to me as well, it's like, you know, if you're sitting there in your headphones sometimes and you get deep in the rabbit hole of like finding a simulator guitar tone, you start to second guess yourself, I find. Like it's like, wait, does this sound like a guitar? Does this sound shit? Does this sound good?
Oh, dude, totally. Anyway, lastly, what do you guys have coming up?
We did have a tour. I think that's been moved to September or October, which will be fun. Baby Blue just came out, yeah. Terrible time to release a song. It was amidst like the panic that was going on. I feel like even now would be a better time to release because everyone's at home and knows the rules and kind of like more or less has calmed down a little bit. But it was kind of the Friday before the week that all these, you know, articles were coming out saying different things and everyone's like head wasn't there. And I don't know. So it's been all right. It's been good. but it would have been nice to like do it at a time that wasn't like as gnarly.
You got some other stuff coming out?
Yeah, I think like we might like put an EP out. It's been sitting in the bank for like ages and ages and ages. I then kind of want to get a pretty quick turnaround with like the next batch of songs we've been working on, but trying to figure out who we should work with. That's the main thing at this point. It's like who's going to fit the vibe.
In terms of producers, engineers and stuff?
So I think we've got to figure that out. Then we'll be pretty keen to like jump into the studio and do some pre-production and go from there.
Awesome, dude. Dude, thanks so much for chatting to me
today. It was great. That was really enjoyable.
That was Jack Johnston, episode 2 of Shoegazers podcast. If you want to check out Jack's pedal board, as well as links to all the songs we spoke about and the plugins that Jack spoke about as well, head to our socials at Shoegazers podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and Shoegazers pod on Twitter. I'm Jesse Lawrence. I'll catch you next time.